Says it's live. Let's look. Well, there we go. You're on.
We're good? Okay. It's now 6:30. We would like to call the March 12th, 2025 Greenwood Town Council meeting in order. Can we all please stand? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so the first, we need some clarifications from the previous meeting. There were some seconds that were not heard. The first was for the vote for the vice mayor. The first motion was for Anthony Massey to be the vice mayor. We need a second motion on that.
I move that we appoint Mr. Massey as vice mayor.
For the second.
Second.
Okay. So Ms. Talent seconds that. So we're just going to vote Ms. Talent.
Yes.
Ms. Talent votes yes.
Yes.
Ms. Jones votes yes. Mr. Massey.
Yes.
Mr. Massey votes yes. Mr. Donovan.
Yes.
Mr. Donovan votes yes, and I also vote yes. So all in favor. Yes. The second, we needed the secretary. Mr. Massey did nominate Ms. Jones for the secretary. However, there was no second, and Mr. Donovan also did not vote. So the nomination stands. We need a second.
Second.
So Mr. Donovan votes the second. Let's take a vote. Ms. Talent,
Yes.
Mrs. Jones,
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
And Mr. Donovan.
Yes.
I vote yes as well. The third on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. So in your packet, you have information on the minutes from February 12th. Are there any corrections that any of us see that need to be made? No, we'll go back to the first. Okay. So the other one's the discussion of the water tower. Let's go back. The discussion of the water tower project. Mr. Massey made a motion to go forward with the grant research, but there was no second on that vote. So we need a second on the vote for the grant research on the water tower project. Do we have a second? Do we have a second for the previous, for the water tower project?
Yes.
That's the second. Second. And then let's go down and vote. Ms. Talent, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Massey?
Yes.
And Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
And then I vote yes as well. We heard that, we got the seconds and that. Supposedly nobody heard it through the first time, so I was going to say it makes loud and clear. Okay. Now we're going to do the approval of the minutes from February 12th. So again, like I was saying before, in the packet that you have are the minutes. Are there any corrections that any of us see that need to be made? And if not, do I have the motion to approve the minutes?
Yes.
Your motion, so Ms. Jones makes a motion to approve the minutes of February 12th. Do I have a second motion?
Second.
Ms. Talent seconds that motion, so then we can go to voting. Ms. Talent, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Jones, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Massey, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. Moving on to the fourth, reading of correspondence. Does any council members have any correspondence to read? Ms. Talent? Ms. Jones? Mr. Massey?
No, sir.
Mr. Donovan?
No.
I do not as well. Now to the fifth, we will open this to the public comment. If anybody from here from the public would like to speak, you have 3 minutes to speak your name and your address. Do you have anything? Yes, I know. Okay. For the sixth item, Chief Walton, report.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of council. You should have my written report. If you have any questions about that, I can answer them. As far as my verbal report, I have some employee updates. Corporal Tucker has completed all necessary field training conducted by Lieutenant Thomas and is now patrolling the town of Greenwood. She's already made an impact on motorist safety as she focuses her efforts on keeping our roadways safe. Corporal Tucker successfully completed drug recognition expert training sponsored by the Delaware Office of Highway Safety, and she is now a certified DRE as of March 7th. This was a rigorous training which consisted of classroom instruction along with intense field certification program. And just so everyone knows what a DRE is an officer who has received specialized training and has been certified by the International Associations of Chiefs of Police to evaluate suspects and determine if the subject is impaired, if a medical condition is causing impairment, or if an impairment from drugs is present. They are capable of identifying the drug category. So it's a very specific and intense class that they go through. So the Greenwood Police Department would like to acknowledge Corporal Tucker for her successful completion of this training and being one of the very few certified DREs in the entire state. So we're very proud of her.
So she can determine what drug it is just by looking at what that's in the test.
Yep, absolutely. So our roadways will be very safe from impaired driving. Second, our social media. Our social media policy and general order was completed, and we're pleased to announce the creation of the police department's own Facebook and Instagram pages. So please feel free to check them out and follow. These sites will be used for positive imaging of our police department, public information for noteworthy arrests, event notifications, and public safety announcements. I would like to remind everybody that these sites are not monitored 24/7, and anyone attempting to contact the police department or file a complaint are directed to utilize the normal emergency contact numbers. Our sex offenders. With the assistance of Camden Police Department, we have updated our sex offender registry and notification procedures to meet state and policy guidelines. We've also already begun Megan's Law notifications, and Corporal Tucker will be heading up that program, basically. So we were kind of out of the times, we weren't keeping up with it, and this is one of the issues that was brought to my attention, so I ensured that we're on top of it now. In reference to PAC, Corporal Tucker will be beginning the first block of training for our PAC members on Wednesday, April 2nd. We will also be assisting Ellendale Police Department, giving them the same training that our PAC members will receive for their PAC members to assist them. That way, we're just incorporating them for that. They won't be on our PAC board. We're just going to offer them the training to help them out a little bit as our sister agency. So that's pretty much all I have for my verbal report.
I do have a question on just curious, with the regular duty traffic arrests that have significantly increased. What would be the cause of that? I know we have 3 police officers now, but it's almost 10 times the amount. Is it more patrol on the highway?
I have two very dedicated and diligent officers who want to keep our roadways safe.
Yeah, because that number is extremely phenomenal.
Yep. I mean, the 3 of us try to focus on traffic and keep, the motorist and public safety at the highest level we can with the officers that we have.
Okay.
As you've seen prior, I'm sure you saw the numbers jump.
Yeah.
We were very tied down in January, myself and the lieutenant, with a lot of the administrative duties. And, I'm still tied down with a lot of administrative duties. But, I see most of you out. You guys see me out. I'm still a working chief, and I enjoy doing traffic, so I'll always be out there. Yeah. Yeah, so the January was kind of a lot of office stuff, and that's why I graciously thank the public for bearing with us while we were trying to get through the reaccreditation process. Now that, we're through the woods, if you will, we can focus our efforts back on public safety and not be behind these closed doors.
Right.
February was still trying to play catch up on a couple things, but I think we really focused our efforts on being out in the public, being seen, and providing that public safety.
Those numbers prove it. Thank you for that, because that jump in the increasing numbers is showing that you guys are doing.
I never steal anyone's thunder. I mean, I do my part, but I have
You deserve credit. You
two
guys-
phenomenal officers. That is what I will say.
The whole department deserves credit.
Thank you.
for that, so. Next, we're going to the town manager report.
We
Ms. Todd?
gotta back up one more for the police department, the discussion.
Oh, the discussion was energized.
Well, I'm basically going to pass that off to Town Manager Todd. Town Manager Todd and Lieutenant Thomas basically were already kind of in the works of this. This program had already been in place and was kind of already in process before my appointment as chief. So they're kind of running with it. I'm just overseeing it, and she can provide you with all the details and the information.
Okay.
Basically, the Energize Delaware grant was a grant for 2 electric vehicles, F-150s. And Lieutenant Thomas was approved for that back in 2023. It was offered to all municipalities. In December of 2023, Chief Thomas at the council meeting asked council to email him with any questions, and he said he didn't get any at that time. So at the January 10th, 2024 meeting, Chief Thomas discussed it and said that they received the approval and they had 1 year to accept the vehicles. So in February, myself, Lieutenant Thomas, and the chief, we discussed grant opportunities and different things that we had, and we realized that grant had not been closed. So we reached out to the grantor, and they said, the money's still sitting here. You guys didn't take it, it's still sitting here. So, like I said, we talked about it at that time, decided to accept the grant in the amount of $140,000. That covers the cost of the 2 F-150 trucks and the charging station. One will be completely outfitted, I believe, but Chief can tell you about this, as a police vehicle with lettering equipment. The second would be used for town business. All the paperwork was signed by Lieutenant Thomas. The vehicles have been ordered. So that's, unless Chief has something to add, that's how that transpired.
Well, I mean, the only thing I need to say is we're getting $140,000 to purchase 2 vehicles. Free is free. So as long as we're in compliance with, the grant guidelines, which we're making sure we're being very tedious with and ensuring we're meeting those compliances, free is free.
And those compliances that we need, such as?
One of the vehicles has to be used purposely for patrol. So they're basically trying to get a range to see if they're going to have a market for this.
Okay.
Because electric vehicles, everybody kind of turns their nose up to for the patrol aspects, because patrol cars normally get refilled with gas and you're right back out there.
Right.
So this is kind of like trial and error. A lot of other police departments are currently using them and utilizing them.
Have you spoken with any of those police departments that have used them?
Yeah, so-
Feedback on-
Lieutenant Thomas has been in contact with the chief of Felton. He's very familiar with it, and it's going to be a trial and error. We're going to have to see how they work out. But again, it's free. Free is free,
Right.
and we'll use them. And if as long as the grant's approved, then we're getting a free car out of it. So
Right,
2, yeah.
That's a single charging station that comes with the grant.
That $140,000 covers one, but they gave us a link to a second grant if we need a second charging station.
Okay, I was getting ready to say, because if you got 2 vehicles, if you run them both in a day and they die down, you can't charge them both at the same time, so.
The other question is that that charging station will be publicly available to anybody that comes to town?
Lieutenant Thomas is checking into that now.
So we're not sure.
We
Okay.
don't know the answer to that right now.
And do you know what the insurance would be?
The insurance company said they'll be the same as any other vehicle, so we don't have the actual price yet because we just got the VIN numbers.
Okay, and but it should be about the same.
Yes.
And then how about maintenance? Because it's all electric. Is there just standard maintenance? I'm not sure on that.
I'd have to check on that.
Okay.
I imagine it'd probably just be like tires, brakes, and then have to have a
No
battery.
oil.
No, I mean, there's a type of oil, but
Yeah.
it's gonna be mostly gas, or not gas, but just checking the battery, making sure it's not leaking. Anything like that, brake tires,
And they did provide a extra, was it an extra voltage battery? Chief, it's a bigger battery or something?
Yes, we went with the package that is the larger size battery. So yeah, longer lasting. There you go.
That's good choice. Keep it spring while you do it.
Yeah. Take the grant money as much as we can. And see what we do, so we can-
And we were one of only 3 towns that didn't take it the first go around, so the gentleman was very nice and he said he was gonna circle back with us eventually, so.
Just make sure we make the right.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we moved on with that. We're going to move to the town manager report.
In your packet, you've got the profit and loss statement year to date. You'll see at the bottom, currently we're 99,000 and some change in the black. So do you have any questions about that before we move on? I mean, Mr. Donovan, you had some concerns before about some $300,000 or whatever, to get cleared up.
Oh, I was just, we had 800 and some thousand, and then we ended up with $1 million the next following month. You said that came from other money.
Yeah.
The only question I have,
I have something. Instead of the profit and loss report, is there any way that we can get a report for the balance sheet or an operating report? That way,
Yeah, whatever report you
so,
look at.
because I think that will help out with Mr. Donovan on figuring out where that extra money came from, because with that report, it can show what exact money was taken out of each account.
So which report?
Both the operating report and the balance sheet report.
So you want the balance detailed sheet or?
Yes. In the operating report.
Is that gonna cover all the accounts or that?
That should cover all of the accounts and other stuff. And that will show, instead of it being like just a profit and loss, this will actually show, money that's coming out from one, every single account.
Grid style.
Yeah, it'll show you what account and then what money's coming out from that account to where.
Okay.
And that way, it's still the same information that's being provided, but it's a more detailed information to figure out where the money's going specifically to each account.
To where you're from instead of your end destination.
Correct. It shows that, instead of just jumping to the end destination, it shows everything with that, so. And that will eliminate any questions on
Yep.
where that money's coming from.
1 East Minor Street, it sold at sheriff's sale for $35,000. The town did not even have to bid on it. So we recovered all of our money on that property, which was $28,000 and some change. So we haven't got the check yet, but we'll get all our money on that. Town Hall project, we have submitted all the bids for the grant. After talking to Roger and thinking, just discussing it out, we think it would make more sense to put it here instead of back there, long ways here, and it'll fit the same bids that we got and everything, because water and sewer is here, and it just seemed to make more sense to put it there, so we're,
With the bids that we have, and how large is, the actual council room for, people to actually fit it?
It will
Right now,
seat-
we're limited to 20.
it will seat 45 people,
It'll seat 40.
plus the council.
So we wouldn't have to, at that point, we wouldn't have to move to the VFW
I
anymore.
know.
So that's at 45 plus that.
Yeah, 45 actual chairs for
Yeah,
residents.
that's why I'm making sure that we're not gonna have like a 10, 15 minute, we'll keep it this way, since the whole point is that we don't have. to-
Right, you know, it'll seat 45 people.
Double capacity.
So the water tower project, this week Roger and I met with Anita from Delaware Rural Water. We did a Teams meeting with Rural Development and USDA to discuss funding options for the additional water tower. And an issue came up, in 2019, when there were charter changes done. The charter now says the town cannot borrow more than $100,000 and has to pay it back within 10 years out of the general fund. So obviously, if we need a loan, we cannot do it the way the charter sits now. So, like Mayor Massey spoke to Representative Vanderwin, and I'll let him say that.
I spoke to Rep. Vanderwin yesterday when we found out about this charter issue, and he said if we can come up with something and get it to him as soon as possible, he would see what he could do. He was going to speak with his house attorney of the state house and see if there was anything they could do to speed the process up so we didn't get back into a corner with this water tower thing and the amount of loan we can take out. And he said he would let me know something by tomorrow. If not, I will give him a call and touch base with him and see what we can do about it. But we're,
To change it quickly.
yeah, to see if we can get it in this session, because typically that stuff takes place during March and April, and we're there now. So he's gonna see if we can get it done, so we're not back into a corner on this.
Okay.
If not, it's gonna be another year out, and then if something comes up with the project, you're pushing 3-4 years plus probably.
Okay. And it's,
So,
we're still looking at the project itself.
Absolutely.
So we're not set on it, obviously not set.
Right, but we can't proceed any further with a lot of the grants because we don't have a design and all that, so we have to hold on.
We're
until
on
it's-
top of changing this, the charter for us to borrow money.
Yeah, that's the first step we need to do,
Okay.
yeah.
yeah,
And like Mr. Massey said, they're already in session, so it would have to be,
they're
we don't even know if they
they're
can-
July, they do all their charter changes, like I said, typically March, April. And then they're done, that way they can get them to the governor's desk, and we have a new governor, so he's gonna be wanting to kind of move along and get things done, I imagine. Like I said, the quicker we get this done, the better. I don't know if anyone here feels inclined, being we have that special meeting next week, maybe add it to the agenda for that special meeting if it's at all possible. Give everybody a week to kind of think about it, and then we can discuss it
Changing of the-
Yes, changing of the charter, like ironing out the details of how much we can take out, what time period we're willing to, you know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah,
All the details.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, we can iron that out next week, and then once we have that ironed out, we can put it up to a vote at the next meeting, and then it's done, and we can try to push it through. And if he calls me back and says, you've got X amount of time, Secretary Jones have to schedule a special meeting so we can carry a public vote on it, so everybody can see what we're doing.
Yeah.
So it's really just.
I think we should add that to the workshop for next week, that way if anybody has any ideas on the amount of money that we think this town should borrow. Because $100,000 isn't.
Yeah, we can't even buy a house or half a house for $100,000 anymore, so.
And also, I received some information yesterday, Roger, and I had a meeting with somebody that, we possibly could get better pricing. This gentleman did basically the same thing we want to do for 1.1 million. So he's given us his contacts for the company and everything, so we're gonna try that and see if we can get it cheaper.
So the 4 million is 1.1.
Yes,
That's fantastic.
yeah, he said 4 million is ridiculous.
Chuck, if you know what we talked to me before with the 4 million, didn't you tell us 4
Oh,
million?
yeah, the 4 million, we got the prices from the tower people and all this gentleman's
Around
a
here?
developer out of Pennsylvania, and he said he could hook us up with somebody in Ohio. So like I said, it's Justin,
And
we're
this
just
is-
checking it out.
And this is for the same size tank?
Same thing,
size,
Roger
you know,
asked him, same tank, same pump house,
It's like going
everything.
to a different car dealership and getting it completely
Yep.
half off.
But like I said, that, we're just checking into that. Yeah. I think we should probably have a workshop in April, but it's up to you guys just about ordinances. As you know, we're codifying the code and we have a lot of ordinances that need some work. Probably need to get rid of some, need to change some. I don't think that a council meeting is gonna be the time or place to do it. It would take way too much time. So I would recommend a workshop, an ordinance workshop, and it's up to you
I
guys.
totally agree, because I've seen a lot of ordinances that need to be changed, and I know I've heard a lot of people that they don't agree with it, or they think there should be other ordinances in place, and this is something that we need from the town, to hear from the town and figure out what that is. So I think 100% that the next month, on the following Thursday, just like we're doing this workshop, we should do an ordinance workshop.
I would agree.
So we can feel from everybody.
So April the 16th?
Yeah, that's it. Right.
No, Stephanie Ballard had done this.
She condensed the zoning ordinances, but there are still some out there like, you can't turn your horse and buggy around in front of the firehouse. That kind of stuff we need to get rid of.
Is that really important?
It really is. Ask Mr. Donovan, he'll tell you, that's really an ordinance.
You know you're not allowed to have a pea shooter in the town of Greenwood? A pea shooter.
A pea shooter?
Yes, sir.
And then,
Can't have one in town of Greenwood.
and then
A
there's,
BB gun?
Can.
then there's one that it comes up a lot, the size of the whole building. And some people say, I have a huge lot, I should be able to have a bigger building, so like
I
that.
totally agree with that, because I've heard that from a lot of people around town. If you have a bigger lot, you should be able to put a bigger pole building on it.
Right.
And there,
Without a doubt.
and then the snow removal lot ordinance, that was something I've heard a lot lately, a lot of people, because like, we got some snowbirds in town, if you're not here, you're not here, how you gonna move the snow? Like,
Right.
it's nickels and dimes,
Right,
you know?
You said it's April 17th, it's Thursday, right? It's 16th.
is that when you want to do the 7th?
I think it,
Do you wanna do it on Wednesday? or-
Well, Wednesdays are, oh, okay, you want to do the 16th, the following?
It's up to you guys.
We can do it on the following
Do you
Wednesday.
wanna do it on?
We'll do it on the following, okay.
So April the.
April, this is April 16th. Wednesday.
What time and when?
We do 6:30 now. I'd like it at the VFW, because hopefully more people show up to speak about it.
Yeah, I'd like to hear everybody's opinions on these things, that way we can
And let the word get
have
out.
a good consensus to the town as to what's the problem. So,
And we can look deep and say people can have pea shooters, you know.
I would love to have a pea shooter.
They don't even know what a pea shooter is. I think we're showing our age, you know.
Does it shoot a pea? Is it a pea?
No, man, it's
It's a straw with a pea.
spitball.
we're water.
You said you got a pea instead of, yeah.
Chief, did you know what it was?
No.
I don't even know pea shooter. You didn't see, okay, all right, thank you.
Pea shooter was.
I've heard the term. I didn't know the definition.
Right, I didn't either. I was assumed it was just a small one. Did you know what it was?
You're showing your age. I'm showing mine.
No, I'm not gonna admit I'm that old, I don't know.
before we move on to the next item, I just wanna say real quick, a lot of times Roger and I have meetings with potential developers that are thinking about things in town. They don't bring us plans or anything, they just come in and say, hey, what do you think about this, or I'm thinking about this, or, you know, just random things they wanna talk about, and they'll ask Roger, where's the water, where's the sewer, things like that. And usually, I try to keep you guys informed of that, but now it's getting to where people are spreading that, this is happening and people are panicking, and I'm getting phone calls, and even when things aren't submitted. So we either have to, going forward, not make people panic, or I just won't say anything until something's submitted. I mean, because I don't want our residents panicking on something that may never, ever happen. So that's something we really
if they
need
don't bring
to.
you plans, it's not really worth mentioning.
No, because there's one property, we've had 5 different people in here about the same property, and nobody's ever submitted anything, and probably won't. You know what I mean? But there's other properties that they will come and they're really purchasing this property and want to do this or want to do that. But like I said, the residents, if they get a word that there's a potential, something could happen, everybody's panicking, and it's just not fair if it's something that's not even gonna happen.
But it's not fair to keep it from the townspeople either, until,
Well, you're not,
Well, it is,
but you're not keeping it from if there is nothing.
But if it's public knowledge, if it is public knowledge and they can look all that information up, then why not let them know what's actually happening in the town?
Because we really don't know. Because if let's say hypothetically somebody wants to buy that piece of property and build 20 houses, I'm just saying it, and that gets out and everybody starts panicking, and then that person never buys that property, or that person builds one house. In the meantime, everybody's panicking. So
But if it's
until
not-
we know what we're going to do, and I'm not saying hide it from. If it's online, they can certainly look it up. Like I told the one young lady, plus you can see a project on in the Maryland Avenue. It's all anything that's on it public, but we don't want to start speculating that this guy might do this, and then everybody's panicking, because we're also setting ourselves up for a lawsuit. Because if you try to kill this project before you even get started, and we delay that person's progress, that's going to open us up for a whole nother
Well,
thing.
nobody's delaying any project.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that can happen.
But if
That's what
it's
I'm saying.
public notice, if it's public information that somebody wants to purchase in property, there's nothing the council or anybody can do to stop that word from being spread.
No, that's not.
Some of these things are not,
To it.
they're not public knowledge, really. They should not be public knowledge. If people come in here and with an idea, then it's an idea. They haven't submitted any plans, there's not been
no
anything
commitment.
done. They just come in talking about an idea that's, because most big projects would have to go to planning and zoning or, something like that.
But
Subdivision,
but the information
whatever.
such as the thing behind Maryland Avenue, that's all public information.
It's not really.
It's
Somebody
not
just
really.
came in and
What's
talked to
on,
you.
what's
It should
on,
not be public
what's on
information.
Plus is public information, but what they talk about with the town is not. Because they have submitted
How they
nothing.
find out? If the town's the only one that did it.
The person that told me they heard it from a council person.
me, I told Lisa Workman,
Oh,
and she works for DBS, so she's looked up what they want to put back there. We're just trying to make sure that they follow the ordinances when they do come. I didn't know people were coming up here, but I don't think it's fair to keep stuff from what's going on. I'm
that's
sorry.
I think that's also the biggest thing, is if there is something that could possibly happen that could affect the town needs to know.
Yeah.
But what is it we're keeping from them? There is nothing submitted, nothing.
We haven't kept anything from anybody.
That's what I'm saying. Miss Brenda's saying we shouldn't keep it from, I don't know what we're if they see something online, that's one thing. But if it's a project, again, that they just come in here and say, hey, what do you think about this? And Mr. Dunman's been in on these meetings years ago, where people will come in and, at that same property, matter of fact, we never see them again. 4 or 5 people have done it at that property. Now, if this builder, we can't deny them if they follow the code, period. It doesn't matter, we just can't, if they follow the code. But now, if this builder starts getting the same phone calls like we're getting, then he's like, well, how'd they know what I was going to do back there? And one answer would be Plus, but your average Joe on the street has no idea what Plus is.
But there's not an average on the street. The fact that it's still public information means if you can find it online, if anybody can find it online, then my thing is that I believe this is me personally, that the people of the town of Greenwood should know what people's plans are with the town. of
Even if
Greenwood.
it's a possibility.
Even if it's a possibility or not, even if it's just a shot in the dark, the people of Greenwood should know that there's a shot in the dark that this may possibly happen.
So we just want to put out on the street that this may happen, and then when it doesn't, then we, oh, I thought you said it was going to happen, and this may happen.
We never said it was,
Until
we
does.
never said it was going to happen, we never said it wasn't going to happen, we were just stating that this may possibly happen, and we could even put in it, this is nothing here set in place.
But
This is-
my point is, we shouldn't be discussing it until something happens, because that same property, like I said, at least 4 developers have been here about that property, and nothing ever happened.
I think that people are more worried about that, if they don't know about it, that all of a sudden now it's set in place, it's too late for them to voice their opinion.
But no, that's not
It's
true,
not
because
set.
once it's submitted, they still have to go through meetings and there's meeting after meeting after meeting, there's public hearings, we have to notice public hearings, we have to notice 200 feet from the property, there's a lot of things that
If it
happen.
work,
Yeah, so I'm gonna say this, and this will hopefully end the discussion, I can't believe I'm saying this. I would like Jamie Sharp to be at the next meeting, and he can work all of this through, as to whether we're legally liable for anything, as to whether we can step forward and say anything to the public, as if it makes us liable to the landowner, because if the landowner is able to sue us because of something a council person said, that is a detriment to the town, and that is taxpayer money going down the tube. I would be willing to pay Mr. Sharp the 2 hours to sit here and do that if it saves us $200,000 down the road from a developer suing us into oblivion.
I don't know that he could give us a real answer on that. And then also, let's just hypothetically say you were at the meeting about that property. If it comes to council for a vote, how can you make the same vote as the others if they haven't been in those meetings?
there was no meetings.
No, the one homeowner that owns property down there said you were there with Mr. Pooch and some other people, and you guys had a meeting.
Because
I'm just telling you the phone calls we're getting.
Right, and what had happened was I was told to meet with one of my neighbors, that was it. And they had all of this information. I had none whatsoever. They were explaining to me what the town was planning on doing with that property, and they were explaining to me the concerns that they had with that. My job as a councilman is to listen to everybody here, figure out what their concerns are, and then make a decision based upon that. I was not in any way telling them what we're going to do, what the plan was, how everything was set up. I was simply there listening to what they had to say. That is it.
But if you don't do that at the public hearing, I don't know how else to explain it.
Well, what I don't understand,
It's fine, I mean,
but what I don't understand is, if it needs to be a public hearing, how can I talk to anybody in the town? Do I have to, if someone wants to come and speak to me, I have to be like, you know what, we can't talk right now, we need to discuss this at town hall in public.
no, but if
Is that
it's
what I need
something
to
that's
say?
gonna come in front of council, you have to make the decision when you hear it at the same time everybody else.
But at this point, how do we, again, this is not a real thing happening, so how am I even supposed to know if it's to come to council or not? We don't know if it's coming or not.
Why don't you just go out on Facebook and all our other stuff and say there's rumors that this is happening, we do not have anything.
I just won't tell the council to have meetings. That's an easy thing.
Well, council needs to know about that.
No, because it's nothing being submitted, it's just people talking. But if everybody's gonna keep everybody getting rung up in town, I don't see how that's benefiting anyone.
Nobody's trying to ring anybody up in town.
I didn't say you tried to. I'm just saying when our phones start ringing about something that's probably not even gonna happen, how are we benefiting from that?
Well, what we're doing is just arguing about nothing.
No, it's something.
But nothing's happening.
It's nothing to you, but it's something when our phones are ringing and everybody's upset that, oh, it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me? Tell you what?
But it's not, we never said it was going to happen. Nobody
Exactly.
said it was going to happen.
Okay.
Okay. Next is PIP discussion and possible vote.
What about, isn't there something in there about cross connection, Johnny?
Oh, we skipped across.
Nothing's changed about that. I went to the class with HydroCore and all that, everything's on hold. They, did state they wanna start doing residents now that the state has passed that, but I haven't seen that from the state yet.
They haven't given you a timeline on that either.
We haven't seen the law either, have we?
No, that's what I'm talking about, I haven't seen them all.
That's another hearsay thing.
Yeah, that's, according to HydroCore, they said that's gonna happen, but I haven't seen the actual law. that they're saying that has passed, now they're gonna do all residents.
That's something you really need to keep an eye on,
Oh, we
because
checked it
this
out.
hydrocore people, we've had an apple out of that barrel, haven't we?
Yep, and Mr. Hague's keeping a close eye on it too as well.
So we've done a discussion of the workshops, we're going to do the next one next month. Correct. So now we're going to do number 5, PIP discussion and possible vote.
So, you want me to do this, Mr. Massey, or?
You go ahead, yeah.
Okay. So in your packet, you're familiar with the performance improvement plan from October 24th. And there's a copy of the responses and everything. The employee handbook, it wasn't followed, so the town received a FOIA violation from the Attorney General's office. So, the employee handbook says oral reminder coaching session, and then there's steps that you have to follow for every employee. So Mr. Massey and I have spoken, Councilwoman Jones and I have talked about the town needs to have a policy in place for both discipline and performance-based reviews, because there are no performance-based reviews now, but I think Chief has a policy that he could implement for officers for good performance-based reviews.
Yeah, so officers would receive annual performance reviews as part of a standardized policy and procedure for the department. So my employees would be covered through our policies and procedures.
Chief, is there a way we could get a copy of yours and kind of take a look at how you structured yours?
Sure, yeah.
Because what it comes down to is it should cover each employee, their job description, what they do, whether they're doing it right or doing it wrong, merit-based.
Right.
You know, everybody should have that.
It's a matrix-based, yeah.
Yes.
And we need job descriptions as well.
Yes, John, just a blueprint for us to work off of so we can implement a correct employee program. You know what I mean? Like, instead of just something, oh, here, her job's laid out in the charter, but Carolyn, Roger, if the town grows, anybody else in the future we hire on, we should have something set based on how they're doing their job, how they're doing with their training, and, you know, that would, there's your raises, there's your whatever, you know what I mean?
Where could we find that information to actually judge them off of?
Anytime, if you go out on, if Janet goes out on SCAT, and she can do that, and you'll have 1,800,000 things, won't you, Janet?
Yeah. Well, we've
Go on
got,
SCAT and ask them.
we've got some job descriptions that haven't been adopted by council, but Shelley, when she was here, she came up with some job descriptions. They've never been adopted by council, so if you guys are interested in the job description, that would be something you guys would vote on, the job descriptions and
I think that was,
steps and,
Well, I think we should go out to different municipalities and see what they have, do some comparison shopping. We may like something Milford does, but we don't like what Bridgeville does, so we can.
I agree.
that's my opinion.
I think that's a great
yeah,
idea.
we can send it out through the League of Local Governments and they'll email it to all the towns.
I think that's a great idea, because then we see how each town does with their
Manage
small
their
towns,
own.
medium-sized towns, we'll have a comparison chart that we can go by and figure out how we want to approach this.
Pick what we like and what we don't like.
Yep.
Right.
So job descriptions, and tell me what you want me to get from other towns, job descriptions and review policies.
Review policies and, yeah.
And along with the job descriptions, like how they base raises, how they base their, you know, I don't wanna say punishment, but how you base
Discipline.
some, disciplinary actions.
Mhm.
Like Mr. Jonathan's right, I feel like that would be a fair way to compare things, and it would give us a base to work off of. Chief, again, I would like to see yours as well.
Sure.
To see what your blueprint looks like, I think that'd be a good way to go. What do you think, Ms. D?
I think number one, and people even like this, but I don't care. Miss Todd was not treated right because it was not followed the way it should have been by the charter. And plus she asked to be in public and they refused to do it. And they wrote her up and you've never seen it yet. Where's the write-up?
Yeah, the original document, I asked Mr. Wilcox where it was, he said he gave it to Mr. Kent, nobody knows where it is.
I think we need to just do away with that, and if we're gonna go to this new thing, and try to go to this new thing,
Then I would have to agree. if we're
I'm gonna make
start.
that a motion.
I like to see something doing away with it myself personally.
Well, that's-
I like to see what we're doing away with.
that's-
Let's continue the discussion before we make a motion. We'll continue the discussion before we make a motion.
There was nothing, I'm not seeing anything, so if it doesn't exist, it doesn't exist.
It does exist.
Yeah.
It's in your packet.
It is?
And I also
Oh, I'm
have,
talking about what was supposed to be in the file, what you said Scott Wilcox.
I have
I
the
think that's
points,
the ones in there.
Okay.
I think.
that's what I got.
Like I know from previous meetings, you had asked for all your stuff to be done in public. Your attorney stated that as well.
So where did you get, was this an email? Or-
That came from, after she was given the performance thing, that came from her to me. That's what, so you've acknowledged that you got that because you answered it to me.
Is that the one where I answered each thing that was on the thing?
You did.
Yeah, everybody got it. Yep.
Everybody.
Did everybody get
Well,
knowledge?
did two new council people didn't, but everybody on council
Did you
got
receive
it.
this? From the old plan? This is all.
Yeah.
And Mr. Wilcox got it, he emailed me back that he received it as well.
So just,
Marshall emailed me back, he got it.
I didn't get in. So you wanna do away with this, whatever it is?
Yes.
If it violates the charter, then it.
what's violating the charter? It had to be passed because
Because
she
she
was
had
served
a
the
right.
paper.
She had a right to do it public, and they did an executive meeting instead of in public like she asked.
Because it's personnel, and personnel is handled in
But it's
executive
really
session,
up
and
to that
Jamie
person.
Sharp said it wasn't.
That wasn't the FOIA violation that was done executive, the FOIA violation was done all of his emails back and forth, that was the FOIA violation
Okay.
from the Attorney General.
Which we didn't do.
No,
That
you
was done
did,
by the lawyer, right?
no, all of you guys were going back and forth with the lawyer,
So,
Scott Wilcox.
So do you have an issue with
But
this?
individually,
Yeah, I have an issue with like putting a camera and watch what Carol and I are doing by remote people's phones on the council, I have an issue with that.
Well, I mean, you,
And I have an issue with saying you weren't, and I don't remember if you were on council last year, but, I have an issue saying that the council didn't know anything about finances when I have minutes from every meeting where finances are discussed, I have an issue with that. Yeah, I have an issue with a lot of it, yeah. And I brought the issues to, everybody got the email, like I said, I got back, Marshall received it, so I don't know, I guess you were going to just.
was this plan ever put in place?
No, I refused to sign it, but they said it was in my personnel file, it's not.
but refusing to sign it, according to Mr. Wilcox, did not make it void. Because he figured she wouldn't sign it, so,
But where's it at?
well,
obviously, I got it in my hand.
yeah.
You know what I mean, where Marshall signed off on it.
I have no clue.
Where the mayor
Marshall and
signed
her and,
Well,
Marshall
that's
has
it.
her stuff.
So,
But ask Marshall if he has a copy of it.
Marshall's a private citizen, he shouldn't have a copy of it.
No, but he was up here.
I understand, but at this point, he should turn that in.
okay. From my understanding, if Marshall, we can't find the copy that Marshall supposedly signed. Janet didn't sign it. That is,
From court.
I don't know, you call it. That's void.
Yeah.
What we need to do is still make a plan and for everybody in the town manager, and Roger,
Everybody that's included.
everybody.
Out of town.
And if we want to use some of that, then we can use some of that.
No, you're not paperback.
Hey, Donna.
No, she wants it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I know you were reasonable.
Don, you never thought that you were on council, weren't you on council at the time?
I had a problem with my computer too, so it
I know
could,
you got a problem with
it was the operating.
Sorry. What we need to base this all is facts. If it was never implemented, then we can't go by it.
Then why did she answer? Why did she text me back what she was going to do?
All
You
I,
know,
all,
it doesn't matter because It don't matter, I'm not gonna get into all that, it doesn't matter. People get away with whatever they wanna do up here, it doesn't matter, so.
Well,
let it
right
roll.
now, right
Just let
now,
it roll.
we're not letting it roll, we're
Anyway.
gonna start with a fresh start. Okay? The PF, that plan will be no longer valid, and we will institute a new one that is signed by everybody, and then we'll set it from there.
It will be
That is it.
a voted in plan, set in stone. Donovan had a great idea. We take all different examples of everything. We go ahead and set one. The council votes on it. It gets put in the process, and then there's no more questions or anything.
Then we go from
Why are
there.
you staring?
I've been watching the meeting, but I'm telling you, it's really unprofessional for a council person to call out a person who's watching.
Ms. Stewart, we're not doing this.
I understand. I understand.
We're not doing this, okay? So do we have a motion?
Maybe
The discussion is over with her, right?
Yeah, so whatever it's supposed to be,
Well, Ms. Jones, what is your motion?
we do away with it.
To do with the PIP?
Yes, and go to the new system.
And
Look at the new system, start over again.
Okay, so Ms. Jones did, motions to do away with the old, the personal improvement plan, and then we make a new, performance-based reviews off of everybody in town.
Yes.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Massey seconds that. Now we take a vote. Ms. Talon?
No.
Ms. Talon says no. Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Massey says yes.
No.
Mr.
Donovan.
Ms. Donovan says yes. I vote yes.
It would be different.
Of course. So from here on out, 3 against 2, that moves forward. Next one on discussion is the old business. The first one is, at the last meeting, we discussed revisions of policies and procedures that were adopted by the previous council. The revisions are noted, and there are corrections. Are there any corrections or additions that the board needs to make?
I spoke my piece about the one I'm a little adamant about, the Rule 21 about the signs and the dress code, but you said you weren't concerned about it. So if you're still not concerned about it, I will go on record saying I do not agree with it. I do not condone it, and I do not think it is right. I believe at some point that if somebody wanted to be malicious about it, they could use it as grounds to sue the town, and I will not participate in that part of it. So I am recusing myself of anything to do with the dress code or public protesting. And I just want to put that on record. Okay.
So are there any changes that want to be made? You want to make a change to that? Would you like to make it?
I would like to strike those from the policy and procedure.
Strike that completely?
I'd like to strike that Rule 21 out. I believe that's what the rule was.
So your motion is to strike Rule 21 out of the policies and procedures?
Yes, because I don't want to see the town get sued for violating somebody's constitutional rights.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Yes.
Ms. Jones seconds that. Ms. Talon, how do you vote?
What are we striking out?
The Article 21 that somebody can come into our council member meetings with only a sign limited to an index.
3 by 5.
So you want a bigger sign?
I want them to be. I want somebody to be able to protest peacefully and not sue us, because that could be an issue. We're in a very litigious state these days, and everybody's looking for a quick cash out on a paycheck.
No, I don't vote for a bigger sign.
So your vote is no to that motion? Ms. Jones? No to that motion? Mr. Massey?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
I'm for bigger than a postcard. So he just wants everybody to do whatever they want to do, is that my understanding?
No, sir.
He doesn't want to limit people to.
I don't want to limit people.
You have to limit people to some things.
As long as they're not making a fool of themselves, and when I say a fool, being loud, being like yelling, anything like that, cool. You start being a fool, that man can haul you out, because then you are a public nuisance. You are interrupting a public hearing. You are liable to legal action at that point. But if you stand in the back of this room quietly and don't bother anybody, there's nothing legally we can do. It's a silent protest. But if we throw them out and they haven't done anything wrong and they can prove they haven't done anything wrong, they can sue us.
Now, your motion was to strike Rule 21, that's about dress code and everything, you wanna get rid of the whole,
He was particularly the motion.
Just the
It's
sign part.
particularly about the 3x5, but the whole
Okay.
rule with the dress code and everything, who's gonna police that?
well, that's what I'm saying, all of that's Rule 21, are you moving to strike all
I
of
would
that?
strike the whole rule.
No. I won't strike the whole rule.
Would you say just strike the 3x5 then?
Well, I mean, somebody comes in here with a poster with that, I don't think that's enough to set anybody to walk in here with that, and that's a 3x5. I mean, if a guy comes in with a piece of paper, I mean, or I say, you know, when I bring that in here, I don't know. I agree with, you know, the First Amendment, I agree with all that, but I don't agree with just coming in arbitrarily messing up a meeting just for the sake of joining, coming in, looking like whatever. I mean, you gotta have some kind of standards when you walk in that door. I mean, granted, this is a public forum, but I mean, you have to have some respect for that public forum.
So-
In some cases, people come in and they disrespect the public forum, they come in and it's absurd.
Well, Mr. Gunn-
Fortunately, we've never had that happen.
Right.
But
Would
that's just the
would you
issue
be-
I have.
Would you be willing to workshop some of these at a separate time?
Well, I mean, I can go and do whatever you want to, but I don't really don't completely away with it.
I don't wanna see us get tied up in some lawsuit and some litigious stuff, because I've seen some things in the news recently, people are really just going for free paychecks from towns because it's what's easy.
Again, may I suggest, Mr. Mayor, and again, I don't mean to be, I would suggest we go and ask policies from other places, Janet. Well, while you're going, what do you see from you? What do you see for a while to come in the door?
That's absolutely fair.
I mean, at least we get some kind of a cross-section of the municipalities in the state of Delaware as to what they allow coming in that door.
That's absolutely fair. Take a look at it and see what
It's
this
not
is.
hard to ask the question.
Do you agree with your motion, or do you?
Well, Mr. Massey, didn't you have an email copy from Jamie Sharp about signs, something about signs and freedom of speech? We
Actually, but I don't know if I got it in here right
couldn't
now.
restrict them because of freedom of speech.
Yeah, he had sent an email saying that you can't, and that's one of the ordinances about signs and people, like political signs, advertising signs in people's personal yards. We have an ordinance that you can't have a sign for more than X amount of days or whatever. Well, that's somebody's private property, and that's their freedom of speech, so that ordinance has gotta go too. But
That's separate, that's separate.
I would agree, but it's in that same category as the postcard, like it's a sign with something that has a message they wanna convey. You see where I'm at with
I
this?
understand what you're saying, I understand what you're saying.
But again, like I said, I won't, if you guys don't want to drop it, I don't have an issue with that, but I won't be the one to enforce it. I won't be the one to tell them they gotta leave. I will leave that up to the other council people here and the chief to make that decision. And I won't be the one to judge somebody on dress code. Unless they come in here in something like a thong or whatever, but at that point, it's whatever, that's a bit far.
How do you feel about tabling this for now and do a workshop on the?
I have no issue with that. I have no issue with that at all, because there's other stuff that really needs a good solid look that you can't just do at a council meeting.
So do you want to refuse your motion and go to the table?
I will I will pull my motion back and agree to table it for now until we can schedule a workshop. I would like to do the workshop. We've got one scheduled for April, May.
So you want to table it and then reschedule?
We can table it and we'll reschedule it for May.
Okay.
What about all the other changes that you guys voted on last month? You looked through those and they're, okay?
Those were okay with, but that's the one, and I hate to be that guy. I don't even hate to be that guy. That's the hill I'm willing to die on. Because I don't want to see us get sued for something stupid, because somebody decided that they're gonna take a paycheck out of Greenwood.
Okay, so we settle that.
Second.
You second that? You second that to table it to put it into a town workshop? Okay.
You want it at the workshop with the charter or with the ordinances or something?
Or you're gonna be, that's gonna have to be a separate one. So we already have one for the ordinance, so the following one.
The following month, we'll do policy and procedure.
Policy and procedure.
We can do it the Wednesday after that council meeting. We'll just run back to back, and we'll get all this ironed out.
Is that a motion?
That's your motion.
That is my motion to table it for now, schedule a meeting for the Wednesday after our May council meeting, and we will go through a workshop and take it from there.
Okay, do I have a second motion?
Second.
Ms. Dees, second. Ms. Jones, seconds that. Ms. Towns, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Jones, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Massey, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Donovan, yes, and I vote yes as well.
Ms. Todd, if I could ask you a favor in the meantime, because Mr. Dunn suggested, can we pull some stuff from 4 or 5 different towns and see what we got to work with?
Yeah, we already have a couple, like from Millville and a couple other towns that have good ones.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Something that we can do.
Again, we're just trying to clear everything up and cover ourselves because,
Okay, new business. There is no new business. Last section, council member comments. Do you guys, anybody have any comments at all? Ms. Towns? Ms. Jones? Mr. Massey?
I realize things got heated in here tonight. There was a discussion of things, some personal feelings, some professional stuff, but as elected officials, we have to try to hold ourselves to a higher standard. That's coming from a guy who used to make a good name for himself out there acting like a fool, but we have to hold ourselves to a higher standard. I'd like to thank Mr. Donovan for having some good suggestions this evening, really helping out. He is an anchored member of this council, and he's been around, so he knows some things, but we gotta stay professional. We're trying to make sure this town knows that we have trust in the decisions we make, and if we lose our cool, it doesn't bode well on us in a public image. You know, that goes for our town manager, our chief, the council people. Like, we are the ones that represent Greenwood, and we have to be held to a higher standard. That's all I got.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes, sir. I spoke enough.
You spoke one of the I don't have much to say. I'm happy that we got through this without too much of a mess. How about that?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, all in favor of adjourning the meeting at 7:27?
Yes.
Yes.
That's another meeting will come. It's gonna be a month long because we're in.
I can end live, right?
Yeah, and then just leave it, sit there and time they'll do it.
Yeah.